Being jealous. Was she really jealous of a fiancé existing only in name? Monica was made uncomfortable by his stare, so she simply tried to pass it off. Forget it. Is your tummy still in pain? He completely ignored her question, though.
Are you perhaps jealous?
No.
You clearly are. If you're feeling jealous, then let me tell you, you have nothing to worry about in that aspect.
Stefan circled his hands around her waist and forced her closer to him. He slightly turned her body over and pinned her under him. Pinching her chin, he placed his thin lips gently over hers. His gentle kiss sealed her lips. Eventually, breaking apart that simple yet sweet kiss, he gazed at her and slightly beamed.
You only need to know that I just want you. I have no feelings for other women.
As he said that, he held the hands of clueless Monica as he led her over. Her face instantly heated up.
What about you? Don't you want me?
He whispered this to her ears, fanning her earlobe with his warm breath. Her ears, all the way to her nape, were tainted red. This woman's physical constitution was prone to blushing. She was just like a mimosa. A light touch could cause a shy blush to spread across her skin. You! Monica was boiling with rage. Enough! He gave her no chances to refute by jamming up her lips with his words. I only want you. I don't have feelings for other women. His words provoked her already blushing skin to turn a deeper shade of scarlet. He kissed her softly and then enunciated,
I will bestow you with a proper title. Just not now.
She could not help but laugh dryly at his declaration before she blurted out, Stefan, can I take this as your proposal? The man's face stiffened immediately. You have gastric pain, though. If you don't know how to restrain yourself, in time to come, you'll be the one to suffer. She lectured him in all seriousness. Her words were seemingly a prediction or a curse, for as soon as she said that, his tummy's condition, which had slightly improved, wrenched chaotically anew. This woman, was she a person who cursed others? Could she be secretly cursing him to suffer from gastric pain? It was this effective as well. Speak of the devil, and it would appear. Why was this pain such a killjoy? A certain man would surely nurse a grievance. In order to devour this woman, since she did not like his aggressive methods, he tried to convince her with reason and move her with emotions. He was almost successful with his attempt, but the pain came back with a vengeance. Damn. If your tummy's in pain, then you should rest. She pushed him further onto the sofa. As she was leaving, she imparted with him a few words. Wait for me obediently. I'll go cook some noodles for you. He watched her leave in consternation. All his hopes were dashed into pieces. Staring at the morsel which had almost entered his mouth fly away, his mind completely went blank. She shut the door and held her chest with her hands. Her heart was thumping wildly. I will bestow you with a proper title. The man's declaration reverberated in her ears. She dared not let his words get to her. Taking a deep breath, she proceeded to prepare some noodles for the man. After a while, a heady bowl of nutritious egg noodles was made. The ingredients she found in the kitchen were impressive, but once she thought of his gastric pain, she decided to cook him a bowl of noodles instead. He would not have much of an appetite anyway. Her cooking skills were not impressive. However, it was not too difficult for her to prepare a basic noodle dish. Although her culinary abilities were incomparable to Andres's, her standards were at least pleasing to the eye. She specifically made the noodles extremely mushy. The strands would break once they entered his mouth and were easily digestible. When she brought the bowl of noodles to him, Stefan put on a frustrated and cold look. Looking at the way he eyed the bowl of noodles, a distinct impression could be made. He was frustrated. He was really frustrated. How frustrated was he exactly?
I don't want to eat the noodles. I want to eat.
Shut up and eat the noodles! Monica cut him off with a reddened face.
Is it wrong that I want to eat meat too?
He held up the bowl of noodles and spouted these words on purpose. He looked innocent, but from his eyes, there was a slight desire to tease her. Pushing the envelope was already considered as teasing her. He could not touch her physically, so was teasing her with words not allowed too? As he willfully admired her face aflame with embarrassment, he felt a tad better emotionally. Soon, he wiped clean the bowl of noodles. Once all the noodles in the bowl were gone, his gastric pains seemed to have disappeared as well. The vehicle slowly drove into the shopping center. Stefan dropped her at the entrance before leaving off to park the vehicle by himself. Monica lifted her gaze to examine the shopping center's glamorous main entrance. Such a massive infrastructure was situated in the most expensive piece of land within the city center. It was a sweet spot worth nearly silver and gold per inch of land. The entrance was luxurious and splendid. Even those security guards standing by the revolving glass doors appeared to have "The poor and dogs are not allowed entrance" written all over their faces. She said she wanted to get presents, so he drove her here. Rumors had it that consumption was high here. People without a monthly net salary of at least $100,000 did not dare enter this place. She did not give it further thought and went in. The stores on the first floor mostly sold cosmetics and expensive brands of jewelry. The man told her to wait for him on the first floor, so she was in no hurry to reach the second floor and decided to check the jewelry shops near the mall entrance. She was not going to buy anything and was just looking around. While she was window shopping, she heard an unfamiliar yet intimate voice call, "Monica?" Somewhat startled, she looked around and spotted her ex-colleague, Marita Moore, walking toward her. Marita was said to be a stock of flowers in the office. Not only did she have a curvaceous body, she even had enviable facial features. Before Monica came, she had it good in the office. After all, in that company, most employees were male and single females were in the minority. Thus, among the single ladies, her pleasant appearance naturally stood out, and she became hot property and an influential figure. However, after Monica came, things were different. Her gentle and easygoing personality, coupled with her friendliness and helpfulness to other female colleagues, which was in stark contrast with Marita, easily won her the limelight. Marita was green with envy and hostile toward Monica. In fact, she would push her aside often. With her gone, Marita recovered the throne, and she now had many people in the company wrapped around her finger. Recently, she had a private affair with her superior. Hooking up with such a person, she was naturally promoted to the assistant manager of the company's human resources department. It was her heyday. Therefore, the current was much more audacious than her past self. She was more generous with her spending and frequented high-end places for shopping. It was quite unexpected for her to bump into Monica here. Her impression of the latter was that of a prude. She was much unconcerned with branded goods. If it were not for her attractive looks, she would truly depreciate in value wearing those cheap clothes every day. What made her even more jealous of Monica was that the latter's ability to bring out a chic taste in those shabby clothes. She really had no idea how she did that. Is it true that as long as one is pretty, a person can look good in anything? Monica, I haven't seen you in a while. What a coincidence seeing you here. Marita swayed her hips as she approached her. I haven't heard any news from you recently. Did you find yourself another job after leaving the company? Her every action was seductive and enticing. Monica had a poor impression of this woman. Not only did she ostracize her, she even behaved no differently from a green tea bitch in the company. Thus, her return greeting was rather lukewarm. I did find a job. Marita was unperturbed by her tepid attitude and even inched closer to her. Monica might be regarded as a goddess in the company before, but the present was different. By snagging herself a top brass, her status and position were elevated as well, so she, of course, wanted to use this rare opportunity to show off. Why are you so cool toward me? Did you have a bad day? How about we go for coffee at Hollywood Cafe? My treat. Hollywood Cafe was an expensive place for consumption. It's not necessary. I'm waiting for someone. She blandly rejected her offer and then started to check the displayed items on the counter. Marita saw her looking at the jewelry and stuck her grinning face close like a piece of plaster. Tiffany & Company is a premier luxury brand. Jewelry isn't cheap here. I just bought an item from here yesterday. That piece is expensive, but totally worth the price, as it looks good on me. She ignored the woman's chatter and continued to browse. Why did this woman have so much to say? Monica was starting to get on her nerves. If it were not because she was waiting for Stefan, she would try to shake her off by hurrying upstairs. The sales staff at Tiffany's counter could not help but look at Monica when she saw her quietly browse through the shop's items. To her, this customer looked poor in her non-designer clothes. From here, she could deduce that the latter had no purchasing power. In contrast, the fashionable woman standing beside her, who was carrying expensive labels on her entire body, appeared to be rich. She took a closer look at the necklace, which Marita seemed to be intentionally fidgeting with on her neck, and said, with a start, "Wow, pretty lady. Are you perhaps wearing a necklace from the Bulgari series?" The woman smiled knowingly. I got this a while ago. I don't really like it. It's pretty cheap and only cost me a little over $20,000. Oh, it looks good on you. Still, I have something here that suits you more. She made a deliberate show of daintiness before saying, Well, let me have a look. The two of them cozily bantered in this manner. By the counter, Monica was stumped by the long series of zeros indicated on each item's price tag. The pretentious chatting between Marita and the salesgirl also turned her off, as she knew that they were doing this to put her down. It was such a spoil sport that she was tempted to leave. Stefan parked his car and stepped into the mall to find her. He finally saw her aimlessly standing at a jewelry counter and casually walked over to her.
Have you waited long?
His appearance got the attention of Marita.